So Laura, this denial from the U.S. Supreme Court represents what a lot of us think is a near fatal blow to whatever effort the president might have thought he had to fight the election results, to fight the will of the American people. Does the president have any more viable legal paths to challenge the results of this election?
No, Wolf, the jig is up. The President of the United States has no other recourse. It's ironic that today, on the day of the safe harbor deadline for when you can certify Electoral College actual votes going in, that the Supreme Court essentially said, you shall have no safe harbor here. One reason being, of course, because there has been no path towards the Supreme Court. There's been no viable legal claim that was ever raised by the legal team to even have the Supreme Court say, we are the right court to hear this. They were talking about whether you could have an expansion of absentee voting, for example, in Pennsylvania, and whether that violated the state constitution. Well, the Supreme Court doesn't deal with the state of Pennsylvania's constitution. You know who does? The Pennsylvania Supreme Court. And Wolf, they already have agreed unanimously, I would add, that they're not going to take any sort of approach where they would wholly disenfranchise people, voters, who have lawfully followed the system that the legislature actually set down for them. So he has no more recourse here. It doesn't mean he's not going to keep trying, unfortunately, for the Groundhog's Day effect that we're all suffering through right now. But the Supreme Court, even with 3 of his own confirmed Supreme Court justices, said the jig is up.
Yeah, important point indeed. I want to bring in Gloria Borger. You know, Gloria, the president had appealed to the Supreme Court, including, as Laura just pointed out, those 3 Supreme Court justices that he nominated were approved, were confirmed by the Senate just hours before this Supreme Court denial came down. I want you to listen to what the president said earlier this afternoon.
Let's see whether or not somebody has the courage, whether it's a legislator or legislatures, or whether it's a justice of the Supreme Court or a number of justices of the Supreme Court. Let's see if they have the courage to do what everybody in this country knows is right.
First of all, that's false. Everybody in this country does not know that's right. Clearly, that appeal had little impact on the 9 justices of the Supreme Court.
That's right. It had absolutely no impact on the justices, but it did give you insight into how the president thinks about the Supreme Court. He believes that the people he appointed are somehow beholden to him because of their appointments, rather than being beholden to the law, to the Constitution, to the people of the United States. And that's what he was saying out loud. And of course, that wasn't the case today. This was, a Supreme Court saying, no, we're not going to consider this. This is a matter of state law. And what you were doing, and what he was doing in that case, was asking the Supreme Court to effectively nullify a governor's certification of an election in a state, which is something that they're not going to touch, especially without a good case before it. So they decided that they weren't going to even deal with it. So he'll pursue it. He'll continue to raise money off of this, as Jim Acosta pointed out earlier, and he'll take it to wherever it can lead him politically or financially.
Yeah, that's important. You know, let me go back to Jim. As we've been noting, today marked what's called the safe harbor deadline. That's the date by which the states, all 50 states and the District of Columbia, were supposed to have certified the election. I think 49 actually did, and the District of Columbia. How significant is the timing of this Supreme Court denial coming, just minutes before 5 p.m. Eastern? I thought it was pretty significant, the timing of this.
I think it's hugely significant, Wolf, for a couple of reasons. One is, keep in mind, you have a couple of members on the Supreme Court right now in Amy Coney Barrett and Brett Kavanaugh, who worked on the Bush v. Gore case on behalf of former President George W. Bush in the 2000 Florida recount battle. If those justices are looking at the facts at hand here and not determining that the president, outgoing President Trump, has a case here, then that's it. As Laura Coates was saying, the jig is up. I do think because you have a couple of justices on the Supreme Court who have expertise in Bush versus Gore, I do think that is significant. I think if they had seen anything here to weigh in, to bring the court into this sort of battle, that they would have done so. And I think the other item that you need to take a look at, Wolf, is the Trump campaign, the Trump legal team. Jenna Ellis and Rudy Giuliani put out a statement earlier today talking about this Safe Harbor Day. And they seem to acknowledge that it exists and that it is sort of a deadline for these legal challenges. But what they're saying in their statement is that they believe that they can go past these challenges and take this right into January. Wolf, what the president and his legal team is asking the country to do is to endure another 3 or 4 weeks of these cockamamie legal challenges that are just never going to hold up in court. And he and this legal team is asking the rest of the Republican Party to go along with this clown car parade. And it's just never going to end in the result of the president holding on to the White House. All it's going to do, as Gloria was saying and the rest of us have been saying, is raise more money for the president for his future ambitions.
Yeah, I mean, he lost the national popular vote by more than 7 million votes. Not 1 million, 7 million votes. And as far as the all-important Electoral College is concerned, Biden has 306 electoral votes and Trump has 232. You need 270. 232 is way below that. Our political commentator, Bakari Sellers, is with us right now. Bakari, should this be seen, this decision by the Supreme Court, as a message to the Republicans in general out there who are still planning some sort of election challenge, that the Supreme Court is not taking those claims seriously? You're a lawyer. You know there were at least 30 or 40 court decisions over these past 5 weeks which totally rejected what the president and his legal team are arguing.
You know, Wolf, there's a joke. What do you call the person who finished last in their law school class? You still call them a lawyer. And for some of us who made it out of law school by the skin of our teeth, even we can tell you that these legal cases aren't worth the paper that they're written on. I think that everybody realizes that. So you have the legalities of this matter, which we all have spoken to, and we all know that these cases are very much meritless. In fact, I think that there should be some Rule 11s or some sanctions filed against these lawyers for filing cases that they know to be frivolous. However, this is when you meet the legality versus the political angle that a lot of these senators, particularly Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham, are playing. The fact is, Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham could care less that this Supreme Court, one that we believe to be probably one of the more conservative Supreme Courts we've had in recent history. We don't expect many of the rulings that they render to be unanimous. But this Supreme Court came down and said that this was a fruitless, futile effort. That won't stop Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz from beating the drums in Georgia, from filing these suits like the state of Texas did today. And to answer your question directly, no. The Republican Party is deathly afraid of the personality and the cult-type relationship that Donald Trump has with his followers. And because of that, you're still going to see this drumbeat. And even it's going to go into the next United States Congress on the first few days, where they're going to take to the well and make an argument that this election was rigged. It's very, very, very dangerous. I'm just extremely proud of the United States Supreme Court today.
Yeah, to their credit, there are some Republican governors out there who have had the guts to tell the president and his legal team, you are wrong. The Republican governor of Georgia, the Republican governor of Arizona, and the president's own Attorney General of the United States, William Barr. He had the guts to publicly give an interview to the Associated Press and say there isn't any evidence of widespread fraud. And he cited not only an investigation by the Department of Justice, but by the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI. And the president continues to continue this. Everybody stand by for a moment. I want to bring in the Pennsylvania Attorney General, Josh Shapiro, who's joining us on the phone right now. Attorney General, thank you so much for joining us. And as you heard, the Supreme Court denied these Republican efforts to block the certification of Pennsylvania's election results. What's your reaction to this important decision?
Well, Wolf, it was expected. This election has been over for weeks. And the important thing to people here is that their voices were heard. It was a secure election. And so I would say that while this is breaking news, it really isn't a particularly momentous day here. We've known the results of this election since early November. We've known that there was no fraud. We've known that there was no legal mechanism for interference or for having these results changed. And this is just one of dozens of lawsuits that we've won because the suits that have been filed have no merit. Wolf, I'll just say this, it is sad, really, These suits are being filed in court, in a court of law, but really they are for an audience of one, and that is the Republican president of the United States. And some Republicans are just too afraid to stand up to him.
Yeah, they're being thrown out of all sorts of courts, local courts, state courts, and now the U.S. Supreme Court. It was one sentence, Attorney General, a one sentence order by the U.S. Supreme Court. What sort of message does that send about how the Supreme Court views these efforts?
I think it sends a crystal clear message, and it is time for us to move on. It is time for us to stop stirring the pot, to stop trying to create confusion, to stop wasting resources, and to move on with a transition in this country.